Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I want to film a quick video review of a couple viral blushes that I've seen so many people rave about, and so finally I just had to pick them up myself. So in particular, I'm talking about the RMS ReDimension Hydra Powder Blush. I have this in the shade Hanky Panky. And then as part of the same order, I also finally picked up the Rare Beauty Soft Pinch Blush. This is in their Dewy Blush formula and is the shade Believe, which is a true mauve. This is just the mini sample size, but I've heard that a tiny bit of this blush goes a really long way. So I'm really excited to try out these two formulas today and see if they are worth the hype. So let's first talk about packaging. This is the box that the RMS blush comes in. And here is the compact itself. It says RMS Beauty on the front. It's sort of a chunky white packaging. You open up the blush like this, and inside we have the gorgeous blush. I really love how beautiful this looks. I think it's a baked gelée formula just based on how it appears, and it's beautifully reflective as well. I will say when I first opened this compact, I was a little bit worried because this looks really, really deep for a blush. So it'll be interesting to see how this translates on the cheeks. Let me actually go ahead and give you guys a quick swatch. So here is the swatch on the arm, and yeah, it does look pretty pigmented. Honestly, it swatches almost like an eyeshadow, so that'll be interesting. I picked this shade because I wanted something that was a little bit more unique in my collection, and I realized recently that I don't actually have that many plum, sort of cool toned shades, and so that's why I wanted to pick up this shade in particular. In terms of the RMS blush, of course, this is not how the original packaging looks like. This is just a tiny, tiny little mini. Honestly, this is a lot smaller than what I anticipated it would be. I thought this would be more like during the holiday season when they came out with that set of Rare Beauty minis. So I'm a little bit disappointed with how small this is, but this will still serve the purposes of trying out this formula today. So let me actually go ahead and just give you guys a quick little swatch of this. And I think these shades will go together quite nicely. This Believe shade is a bit more cool toned and mauvey, whereas Hanky Panky has a little bit more red in undertone. But my plan is basically to put one on each side of my face, and so we can see some of the differences and also just see how these formulas perform. So let's first start with RMS. So I have here my Sonia G Cheek Pro, and I'm gonna dip lightly into it and just start putting that on my cheeks. Okay, that's good. I was a little bit scared given how dark that swatch was, but I think you don't have to be too worried. Because it is more of a baked formula, it doesn't pick up really, really quickly on the brush. Okay, that is really pretty. I feel like there's a little bit of a harsh line here, so let me try to blend this out. For context, on my face right now, I have a cushion foundation, and then I have powder bronzer, but I haven't powdered all over my face, so there might be a little bit more sticking due to that. Okay, there we go. Wow, that really built up quite quickly. I do really like how this looks. I think the sheen is really pretty. I was actually a bit worried when I saw this in pan because it looks so bright and shimmery based on the way it's cut. I thought this was gonna be a super shimmery or metallic blush, but I think as you can see, it's actually a much more natural, subtle sheen. The only thing I'm not liking a ton of on my first application is I do still feel like there's a tad bit of demarcation where the blush starts and stops. So I'm trying to blend out the edges, but I'm feeling that it is a little bit tricky. Again, that might just be the interaction between this and the cushion foundation because I did not set that. But for context, this cushion is more of a matte cushion, so that's why I didn't want to set my face with powder today. And I think you can see too that my face doesn't look particularly oily or dewy. And for the other side, I'm going to use my Zoeva 110 brush, and I guess I'm going to just kind of dab some of the product onto the brush like this. Hopefully that wasn't too much. And then just tap that in. Okay, actually that might have been a little bit much. Let me wipe the excess off on the towel and go at it now. Okay, try to blend this in. It is a pretty similar shade actually to this side over here. Okay, that wasn't as intense as I anticipated, which is good. I do feel like, again, I'm getting a little bit of patchiness. I don't know if you guys are seeing that there. Usually with my Zoeva 110, I don't really have issues like that. Let me try applying a little bit more to see if that helps even things out. Dab, oh, okay. Might be a little bit much, but let's just try, see what happens. Alrighty, this is getting a bit intense. Okay, I mean, yes, it's still a bit heavy-handed, but I think that actually blended out quite nicely and looks relatively even on the skin. I think you can also see there is a little bit of dewiness for this particular shade, which is quite flattering. So now let me just bring you guys closer so hopefully you can see this really clearly. So here we have the RMS side. This side is definitely a bit more reflective. This Hanky Panky shade is quite unique. There's a tiny bit of a purple flip there, which is quite intriguing. I really like the finish of this blush, but again, the one thing I'm not totally happy about is I still feel like I can kind of see some lines on my face. Personally, I really like blushes where I don't have to work on buffing out the edges. I can just sort of apply them and they basically blend themselves out, but I'm not getting that vibe from this formula so far. Of course, I'm gonna have to try this with other base products and see if it helps to use a different foundation, especially if I powder that down, but not behaving the best with this Cushion Compact from Hera. On this side with the Rare Beauty, this actually blended in really nicely. I was a little scared at first because it is quite a pigmented blush, but I think it actually sheared out pretty nicely and I felt like I still had a decent amount of control with it despite the level of pigmentation. I will say there is still a tiny bit of patchiness here where I feel like some of my cushion might have been lifted a little bit. But overall, for a cream product applied on top of foundation, I think this is looking very nice. On the cheeks, the two colors do look really similar though, so if you are considering these two formulas, you probably only need one or the other. So here we are at the end of the day for the wear test update. So it's been around 8 to 9 hours since I put this makeup on and I've gone on a couple walks. It's been a pretty hot day, so I have sweated a decent amount. And I've also had a couple meals. My lip product has totally worn off at this point. But when I look at my cheeks, I feel like they look basically exactly the same as when I first applied these blushes. So I am quite impressed with the longevity of both of these products. So let's first talk about this RMS side. So you can still see that beautiful sheen on the cheeks. The pigmentation is exactly like it was when I first applied it. I feel like it's really flattering on the face. Even though there is some shimmer in this blush, it's not one of those shimmery blushes where it looks like you have little glitter particles on your face. So overall, I'm very pleased with how this looks. Over here on the Rare Beauty side, things have also worn super well. Again, I don't really see any difference from when I first applied this. That little patchiness from initial application still is bugging me a bit, but nothing has worn poorly in the meantime. I also really enjoy the finish on this side as well. I did not set my face at all today, either before or after putting on this blush. So I'm quite impressed with how, even though this does leave a beautiful dewy finish, it's not sticky at all and really doesn't need any setting. As a side note, I was not very happy with my base product today. I'm wearing the Hera Black Cushion Foundation. If you guys haven't checked out my full Face of K-Beauty, definitely check that out. But this was my first time wearing that cushion all over my face without any hydrating primer underneath. And I have to say, I am not pleased with how it performed. It was quite drying on my face. I feel like it broke up a lot around my nose area. And it's hard for me to tell with the RMS blush if the sticking that I was experiencing when I was trying to apply the blush is due to the cushion or due to this product. So I will have to try this blush again with another foundation and update you guys on how that goes. But in terms of my overall initial impressions of both of these blushes, it's been quite a positive experience. I've been really impressed with how beautiful both products look on the cheeks. The finish is impeccable. They were both quite easy to apply, though definitely I would say the Rare Beauty was easier today than the RMS, simply because for the RMS I really had to blend out the edges and do a lot of buffing. They're both quite pigmented formulations, but at the same time are quite blendable. Especially for the RMS, because it is more of a baked formulation, you can just lightly tap your brush in and pick up a small amount of pigment. So on the whole, I'm really glad that I picked up these blushes and I can see what the hype is about. I'll have to keep you guys posted in terms of how these blushes compare with my other blushes, so definitely subscribe down below to be notified when my monthly updates come out. That's when I tell you about all my updated impressions. But at least upon initial use, both of these have made a good impression. So that's it for today's video. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. If you guys have tried either of these blushes, I would love to hear in the comments below what your experience has been with them. Also, do you have a favorite shade? If I do like these formulas, I might pick them up in another shade, because I went for more of a mauvey color story this time because I don't have a lot of that in my collection. But if I really like the formula, I might also want to pick up more of a nude everyday shade. Thank you all so much for joining me today, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!